Welcome back, traders. This is Ryan with another market preview for the S&P and Nasdaq index futures, where I'll be giving you my outlook for the week. And as a reminder, I am not a licensed financial advisor and this is not financial advice. These are my personal opinions and this video is for entertainment purposes only. So as you all know me, I like to go ahead and start with the dollar index. And if you take a look behind here, this is the weekly chart. And I'll go ahead and zoom in. You see that we've been pretty much consolidating within the monthly BISI and the monthly SIBI. So this week will be the first full week of February. We already have non-farm payroll behind us, so we could possibly see the start of an expansion move outside of this consolidation that we've been having. So if we look here on the most recent price action, we see that price has dipped down into that monthly BISI and has rallied up, and we noted this candle as the weekly order block, and we marked out 50%, the mean threshold. Last week we closed above the mean threshold, so I think there's a high chance that we're going to be able to go and sweep the highs above here and trade back into this weekly SIBI. Also note that this weekly SIBI is the lower half of the monthly balanced price range in white. Going down to the daily, we see that price has rallied. Here's a first level of accumulation, expanded. Here's a second level of accumulation, and looks like we're going to be expanding up to take out the liquidity above these highs and dig into the daily SIBI over here. Now, I like how the weekly SIBI is half of the balanced price range. So even though I'm looking for these highs to get taken, I don't really want to see price go above 50% of the balanced price range. I anticipate price staying within the lower half of this area. Also, you can see that the mean threshold in the weekly lines up very well with the order block on the daily, and we've closed above it. And if you did the mean threshold here, you can see that we closed above that as well. So I'm rather bullish on the dollar index. Here we have the weekly chart for the S&P micros. Now, even though I'm bullish on the dollar index, you can clearly see that the S&P has been trending bullishly. So I'm not going to be looking for any bearishness unless we see a clear shift in market structure. And on the weekly, it's going to be this swing low right here. We need to displace underneath this swing low for me to think of any bullish ideas. And if that's the case, I will be looking to trade back into this inefficiency and this inefficiency right here. Going down to a daily chart. So we can see that here is the weekly swing low I talked about. And on the left, you can see we have another swing low on the daily and another swing low on the right of it as well. So this can be categorized as an intermediate swing low. So looking for bearish ideas, should we displace underneath this one? Now last week we saw that price dip down into a daily fair value gap. Actually, if you remember on the weekly, this was actually a weekly fair value gap as well. But we dipped down into it and then price rallied up, just overtaking these down close candles. So we can definitely see that it's currently bullish. But should we get displacement underneath this swing low on the daily, that is a potential for me to look for bearish ideas as well. Although I don't want to be too overconfident on the downside because the trend is clearly bullish at the moment. Now, we got to keep an eye out on how price will perform if it comes down to this low. If it comes down and let's say it just sweep the low and then come back right above it, well, this is not convincing enough to go for any bearish ideas. What I want to see is I want to see displacement and closure below that low. So suppose we get a down close candle like this. Then maybe we get another one on the next day. Let's say it's extended a little bit longer. And then we get something like this, right? If we get displacement underneath this swing low where we have some sort of fair value gap, we can wait for some kind of retracement back up and possibly using this weekly BISI as a inversion fair value gap, and then we could be looking for this low to get taken. But if we don't see this kind of stuff, if it just sweeps down and comes back up, I'm not gonna be too hyped up on the bearish ideas. Also note that if this does play out like this, we have a high here, low, higher high. So this is not only a fair value gap, but it will also be within a breaker as well. So a lot of confluence lining up should price play out like this. But currently, I want to be conservative and just stick with the current trend, which is going to be on the upside. Also, if you remember our video from last week, we talked about that monthly projection level. And let me just get rid of these drawings. Okay, now zooming into this area. If we do another projection using just the bodies, from this swing low to this high, and I'm using this because this was the portion where it went into that weekly fair value gap. Okay, and then zooming out, if we take a look at the projection here, we see that at 2.5 standard deviation, it lines up very well with that monthly projection as well. So don't want to be too zealous with the bearish ideas. I'll be looking for bullish plays. And same thing for the Nasdaq. We want to look for a bullish trend. So price went up, dipped down into a busy, rallied higher, and then last week we saw price come down into another fair value gap and closed above it. So also one more thing to note, if we go down to the daily, you can see here I marked out the all-time high over here. Now, if you remember ES, it created all-time high last Friday. So if this does not get taken out, we should have S&T divergence between the Nasdaq and the ES. But looking at the relative highs like this, I don't think the market is going to leave this intact. We just went down into a fair value gap and we've closed above it. You can even see the volume imbalance here getting touched. So I anticipate price to go higher, taking out these relative highs. So same with the ES. I'm not going to be bearish unless we see a market structure shift. And even if we go down below this low on the daily, that may not be enough because we gotta remember we gotta see this weekly swing low get taken for a true market structure shift on the higher time frame. Real quick before I let you go, just want to show you the spreadsheet for the trades I took last week. You can see that we had a winning day and a losing day with here's my P&L. And this week I'll be starting with $10,138. So if you'd like to follow me on my trading journey, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll know when I make my next trade. And until next week, good luck trading.